Yo, what up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. It's 2024. I'm your host, Will. This is Phantom Frequency. For those of you joining us for the first time, we get into all the corners of the multiverse of pop culture, movies, comic books, anime, wrestling. We talk about all that stuff, anything and all the above here on the channel. If you dig what we've been doing around here, if you like what you've been seeing, and if you dig this and you stick around to the end, make sure you're clicking the like, comment, all that good jazz. But with no further ado, let's get straight into the topic at hand today. I don't have a ton of time here, but I want to make sure to get this fast, quick, and rapid fire for you. Echo, this is the latest MCU chapter in Phase 5, the first project of 2024. And for those of you that aren't in the know or aren't inundated with all this stuff, and for those of you that already know that Marvel has been in a little bit of a slump over the last couple of years. They've had some really big highs with like No Way Home, Loki, WandaVision, Wakanda Forever, but they've also had some really big lows, like with the Marvels being the worst box office return they've ever had in the entire run of the MCU. The Eternals being another big bomb, the second probably or third biggest bomb in the MCU, all the way back in 2020, 2021 or whatever. And now you also got Thor Love and Thunder, which has completely soured fans on the whole entire Thor corner of the universe, all the way to the point that Chris Hemsworth even wasn't feeling it as much without necessarily saying it outright. So with all this drama and all this turmoil going on in the MCU right now, the discussion really is today that Marvel's lost it. They're doomed. It's over. I, on the other hand, do not subscribe to that opinion. I definitely have had issues with some of these Marvel projects over the last few years. Miss Marvel definitely had a disappointing ending, but I liked the show. Moon Knight was all over the fucking place and was very disappointing. Ant-Man Quantumania, very disappointing for me as well. Even though it's a solid movie, it definitely should have been a lot better, and I still don't get why they mixed Kang and Ant-Man together in the way that they did, because there were some really missed opportunities there that they could have tied into. She-Hulk, that was a total disaster by the second half of the season. The first few episodes I did enjoy, but that thing totally flew off the cliff. Like some people kind of felt about Scream 6 with the ending reveal and the killers, and I won't get into the spoilers here for that, and it won't go on too far of a tangent, but a lot of people feel that way about Scream 6, where the ending just completely goes off the rails. I feel the same way. I don't even like Thor Love and Thunder, if I'm being honest with you. I don't really enjoy the movie all that much. There's a few elements that I like, a couple of things they might set up for the future that could be interesting, with like spoiler alert, I guess, with Hercules and him having a daughter and that playing out in the MCU as Thor being a father figure. That could be interesting, but they just it just was way too goofy. It felt like SNL sketch or Mad TV version of the MCU. So they've definitely been all over the place, but I've had some really, really fond memories and had some really great experiences with a few of these projects, man. No Way Home was an absolute blast. Loki is my all-time favorite MCU show for all the stuff they've done, and is my second favorite Marvel TV series of all time, right after Daredevil. So for me, Loki is just top tier, S tier MCU type stuff. Season 2 was such a great ending. I don't even want them to mess with that when it comes to doing a season 3. I personally think they should just end that. But getting at the topic at hand here, sorry for the MCU tangent, but getting you a little bit of a quick refresher there. For those that don't know, and for the current state of the MCU, if you will, there was a lot of trepidation going into Echo, the series we're going to be discussing today. And when it comes to Echo, people were saying that it was going to be an absolute shitbox. People did not have any faith in this, and the rumor mill was explicitly saying that this thing was going to be a big old stinker. So with that being the topic at hand, with that being the expectations going in, after the first trailer dropped, though, I started to get a lot more interested in it, and so did other fans, because it seemed like they were going to go for that Netflix tone and go for that R rating and really go for the mature stuff that really made that Daredevil, Luke Cage, Jessica Jones, like corner of the MCU on the Netflix platform at the time, really special. And like I said, Daredevil being my all-time favorite TV series, it was definitely something great about it. And this definitely is not going for the full-on Netflix tone. It's not full-on R-rated, damn near pushing an NC-17 type thing. But there is some much more mature elements here. This is a much more mature MCU project as compared to something like a She-Hulk, a Miss Marvel in the series format, or if you want to look at movies with like Thor, Love, and Thunder, and recently with the Marvels. This definitely takes itself a lot more seriously, has a story to tell, has a focused vision on what they want to do. And even though this does feel a little bit rushed, I really did enjoy this series overall. And honestly, I did have some fairly low expectations, so that does help going into it. But overall, I've kind of tempered my expectations with all MCU projects because I've been all over the map too. I've loved some, liked some, and disliked some. So I just go in with an open mind and try to just go in with tempered expectations, even more so than I used to back in the day, because it's definitely not the glory days of the MCU. So I just try to go in with a fresh, open mind, see where they're at, and kind of just give them the chance to try to rebound and kind of what's the word, like recalibrate what they're doing and how they're going to take things into phase 5 and phase 6 with the Fantastic Four, the X-Men, and everything culminating in the Secret Wars. So with this series here, it doesn't care about any of that. And that's one of its biggest strong suits and one of my biggest positives going into this series. It is street level. It's a character study. It's going into the culture of Maya Lopez and Echo as a character and really exploring what makes her tick. Doesn't try to make her overly heroic, does make her actually unlikable, and does make her somewhat villainous, but also shows her in a more of an anti-heroic type of thing, more of an anti-hero where you do understand where she's coming from. There are motivations that are understandable, and she has been wronged and isn't necessarily the worst person out there, especially compared to the person that's her father figure, aka Wilson Fisk, the fucking Kingpin. Vincent D'Onofrio coming back in this thing, totally bringing back the Netflix vibes, and his performance was amazing, by the way. So all that stuff coming together, and in comparison to his character, I thought they did a great job with Maya Lopez. And Alaqua Cox, who plays, I don't know if I said that right, but I'm going to go with it again, Alaqua Cox, I think she did a phenomenal job at being this character and inhibiting the character of Echo. And she did a really good job in Hawkeye when she premiered, but this series right here really shows the depth and range of her acting and really impressed me a lot. And all the acting across the board for this series is really strong. Especially from the actor Chase Spencer that played her Uncle Henry. He was phenomenal. Like his overall, like his ASL, his vocal, like his facial acting, just all his mannerisms and the way that he was delivering the performance was so damn strong. I don't think I've seen him in much of anything before, but I'm definitely gonna be looking out for anything he does from now on because such a great performance, man. Of course, Vincent D'Onofrio comes back as Kingpin, aka Wilson Fisk, and all that, and does a great job once again. Really does a great job at bringing back the Netflix vibe and that characterization that works so well for that particular iteration of the character because they definitely got away from that in Hawkeye, and that was one of the few things about that series I really didn't like because I really do like that show, and would probably put that in like my 5 or 6 spot if I'm ranking all the MCU TV shows. 4, 5, or 6, like somewhere around there. I really do like Hawkeye, but they really did my boy Kingpin dirty. So this one definitely redeemed that factor and redeemed that character very strongly. So, and you got some great kind of Native American alumni actors here that you see in a lot of things about this type of culture. But it makes sense because they're great actors and it's definitely authentic in and of its own right. As the grandparents, the characters of Scully and Chula, played by Graham Greene and Tontu Cardinal, respectfully. And they do such a great job here at really inhabiting all the complex emotions and relationships they have with not only each other, but with Maya Lopez and the way that they shunned her out of the family and the whole way that this series is focused on family, to me, was so damn rewarding and really kept me engaged in the story and made me actually care about the characters and made me wonder where things were going to go and what was actually going to happen. I was pretty damn invested the whole time throughout this series. Now, I'm not going to act like this thing was perfect or like top tier MCU stuff. I'm not going to go that far. You know what I'm saying? It's not Netflix level, but it's definitely close to that. The action is Netflix level. I will say that. Action scenes, chef's kiss. But there are a few issues here and some mixed elements that I do want to get into before I wrap this up. One of those things being the more mystical elements and the way that they kind of changed up the character from the comics. While understandable and while I think thematically really works well for the series, I do think they kind of, the way that they use it as a plot device in there, I don't think they really flesh it out, and that's one of the more rushed elements to me in the story, where you do get the idea that she's getting these, she can connect to people in the previous ancestors in her generation, a la Avatar the Airbender style, and can communicate with them and use their healing powers and things like that, or to, if they want to neutralize an opponent, things like that. And it really ties into the Kahori side of things from What If Season 2, so if you haven't caught up on that, make sure you jump on over there and do that. I'm going to be discussing that series in full on the Phantom Frequency long-form show that we do on the channel. That's going to be coming this following week, so just a quick little tag for that. That'll be next week. But anyways, getting back to the discussion here, Kahori is a Native American character that they created for the What If series to tie into Maya Lopez's character as well, with some of the similar power sets with the portals and whatnot and things of that nature, and the whole connectivity to the Native American heritage with the Choctaw tribe that she is from, and the whole thing taking place there in Oklahoma. All that stuff really does tie in very well, really does give the series an actual sense of atmosphere and an actual identity in a really cool, different culture that we never really, or not, I wouldn't say never really, but we don't explore nearly in mainstream media and Hollywood and movies and TV nearly as often. So really cool to see an authentic representation of that and a not banging your head preaching to you way. But I do think that they didn't flesh it out enough and bake it well enough into the story to where it felt seamlessly a part of the story 100% of the time. Sometimes it felt a little jarring, sometimes it felt a little bit disjointed, but overall I dug what they were going for and I did like it. The overall battle and final confrontation, if you will, with Maya Lopez, aka Echo, and Kingpin, I thought was cool, but I did think her neutralizing him and using the mystical abilities to kind of tap into him and get into him psychologically was cool, but I would have preferred a little bit more physical interaction and activity and some gunplay or something before we got to that point, just to make it a little bit more seamless with kind of the Netflix Daredevil-esque style that comes in here. And that was kind of one of my only few complaints there. Also, I do feel like the rushed I think this series was meant to be a little bit longer, and they did trim things down a little bit because at times you can feel things are rushed, especially in the first and second and last episodes. And the first and last episodes, you really feel the bit of that rushed nature. Even the second last episode, a little bit too. So I do think if they would have let things breathe a little bit, it would have played a bit better. But overall, I really dug the series. Also, I do want to throw in one more positive here too. The Daredevil cameo was fucking excellent, and I love the way that they made him very nimble and agile, like he was in the She-Hulk series, but they also gave him the straight up Netflix look and gave him more of that Netflix grittier vibe without the silly kind of more goofy nature he had in She-Hulk. So they kind of blended the best of both worlds and made it tie into this overall new universe that they're kind of building out here and kind of retconning the Netflix stuff in with the Disney Plus Chapek era, if you will. So did really like the way that they worked that into the plot and worked that way in there. And I did feel like some of the side characters weren't quite developed enough. The grandmother, the grandfather, I thought the mother character and everything, and the father from Hawkeye into this, very well developed. Of course, Maya Lopez and Kingpin as well. But I did feel like her character, Bonnie, played by the actress Devery Jacobs, was a little bit shortchanged. Same thing with the Biscuits character. While he was a fun character to watch in the show and a really nice side character, I thought he could have used a little more development and some more three-dimensionality to him. And some of that just got a little bit fell by the wayside. But overall, I really dug this series. This isn't something that's going to turn around everything for Marvel, but it's definitely a step in the right direction. So overall, I definitely give this a thumbs up. I definitely recommend you guys check it out. You don't necessarily have to rush out and see it right away, but I do recommend if you want to check out some more gritty crime, street level stuff. If not super gritty, it does have a little bit of softness to it, but if you want a street level crime noir character study, if you want something a little bit more focused and you kind of miss the old days of Marvel where they really put the characters and the story first for the most part before all the other glitz and glamour, this is definitely for you. I'm going to give this a 7.5 out of 10. I really dug the series. Not a whole bunch of like Easter eggs and things to tie into the show to really recap and discuss on this one. So thank you for checking this out and for sticking to the end. Like I mentioned earlier, we're going to be getting back to the long form show. The plan is to get that on a weekly basis. We're going to get back into the Phantom FM music audio focused podcast over there in audio format only. So make sure you check out the podcast feed, links in the description, and all that good jazz. But we got a lot of fun content. We're going to be getting into some horror movie stuff, some music stuff. Green Day's got an album coming out soon, so we're going to be getting into some Green Day content and a lot of fun other ideas that I have in mind. So make sure you stay tuned throughout 2024. This is just the beginning. Make sure you stay tuned. Don't sleep. Appreciate you for watching and listening. Much love. Peace out.